Do 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 do. There we go.
Start that event.
We are live. Very good. Hi, Ross. How's it
Awesome.
going
Hello. It's going great. It's good to
today?
see
Now
you.
that we got everything working, yeah. The
Yeah.
buggy issues are always fun.
Yeah, I guess it's just run of the mill about at this time. We just kind of expected at this point.
Yeah, just got to get it done. All right. So, hi, my name is Eric. I am the founder of Unleashing Natural Humanity. It's pretty much a movement dedicated to exploring the power of the consciousness inside of the human mind. And there's been quite a few recent developments along my path that has coincided with cryptocurrencies lately. And Ross Feinstein here is one of the I guess you could call him one of my gurus. Actually, he showed me a lot of the things in the beginning that was going on, what we could actually do with this, and he really gave me an insight into understanding the world of cryptocurrencies themselves. And without further ado, let's turn this over to Ross. Hi, Ross. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing awesome. And yeah, welcome everybody to the first episode of CryptoSutra, your path to crypto-enlightenment. And me and Eric decided a couple weeks ago that we're going to put something together for the purpose of putting a more conscious spin on the cryptocurrency topic. There's a lot of misconceptions and rumors out there, and both of us have seen a much bigger picture than what might be being portrayed on your typical YouTube channel or by most people, especially in communities that we're a part of. There's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or FUD as they call it. And we just want to set the record straight, get things back on track, teach people how to take part in this global renaissance that's occurring right now, and maybe shed some light into some things that, you know, were not quite lighty, shiny up until now. And Eric, are you you're kind of frozen up on my screen?
It looks like it's moving fine for me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just have this picture of you staring at me with your mouth open.
Well, you know, it happens. You know, all we can do is just keep moving forward, right? So as long as you can hear me, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, I'm good on that end.
Yeah. Excuse the goofy face. Sorry, people. All right. So first and foremost, I just kind of want to share a little bit of my experience with cryptocurrencies. I pretty much lost about maybe 2/3 of my investment right off the bat because I just, was throwing money at stuff that people were saying was making money, and turns out it wasn't. You have to understand the way that this stuff works. And with my other remaining 1/3 of my investment, I have easily 10 times what I put into this to begin with. And it's just growing. And even in this market right now where, the stock market's going down, the cryptocurrency, it's been taking a bit of a hit over the past couple of bit. My portfolio is still growing, and it's all about just recognizing that all you need to do is a little bit of research and understanding, and you can literally see right directly into the next generation of what is actually going to be changing this planet here in the future. Ross, he is one of the people who, like I said, he showed me what to do in the beginning, and he's got stories of loss himself. You have to figure it out. There's no way to jump into this without taking a few knocks and whatnot. And I can tell you right now that even just with the little amount that I have put into this type of work right here, it's not that much time, it's not that much investment of learning my systems, and it's paying off multifold already. And Ross, go ahead and give them a little bit of your understanding with your crypto journey and what's been going on here.
Yeah, well, so I got started. I've actually been in cryptocurrency technically for about almost a decade. Dabbling a little bit in the early days, telling everybody I knew to get on board. I, from the very beginning, saw that this was something that would become very relevant in the future, but I didn't really quite dive in fully up until about a year and a half ago. Towards the end of 2016, early 2017 is when I really started investing heavy, and I knew about Bitcoin, but now there was so much more to the cryptocurrency market. And like Eric had mentioned, I had my period of tremendous loss. I took part in a really bad scam. And then I had a very large investment into a coin early on that some people may have heard of, Chain coin. had no idea what I was doing. You know, I just saw something going up. I threw money at it. I actually made a tremendous amount of money. I turned 3 Bitcoin into 12 Bitcoin, and then I didn't sell it. And the price proceeded to sink, and I lost almost that entire investment in the process. And so that first scam and Chaincoin were really the first 2 moments where my sort of breaking in, my initiation, so to speak. And it seems everybody that's been in the game for 6 months to a year has had that initial mess up where they lose money, and it's part of it. It teaches you a lot. I'm glad it happened to me in some ways, but part of why I wanted to do this, and me and Eric want to do this, is so that other people don't have to have that happen to them. That there's people that people feel like are on their level that can explain this stuff and help mitigate that risk, so they don't have to go through losing tremendous amounts of money, and we can all do what we can together to help each other out, which is a big part of the cryptocurrency community, which is one of the things that I love, is that it really is a unity team feel to it, because everybody realizes what's at stake here. People see the big picture, and they have ultimately the same goals. Yes, there's some greed. Yes, there's some shady people out there. There's always going to be people trying to rip you off and trying to take your money from you. But by and large, the cryptocurrency community is some really incredible people who want to see the same ultimate goal, which we can get into and talk about, related to the big banks and the grip that they've had on this planet for so long. Ultimately, we can go into more detail about that, but that is, the people that are in cryptocurrency are coming from a place of awareness of the true nature of how our world works, what's going on, and that we've been enslaved for a really, really long time, especially on the financial and monetary front.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you nailed that right on the head. There is so much more to the cryptocurrency world than just is internet money. This is the foot in the door to literally taking the control that these banks and these cartels have had over the planet and eliminating it overnight. And there's a few things that we need to cover before we get into these types of aspects, though, and the way that we can actually apply this to different levels of consciousness and understanding with the way our world is going to develop. First and foremost is understanding of blockchain technology. There is so much disinformation about this simply beautiful way of recording information, and this is the way the blockchain works. And Ross, fill in anything that I miss here, but
Sure.
the way this works is that for every single coin or token that's ever created, you have a specific number that is given to it. And then as this is going out into the system, every single transaction that that one coin goes through is recorded. And this is recorded on millions, if not billions, of computers around the world, different places, that it is completely, totally open, decentralized, and anybody can look up the history of that one coin right there. Now,
right,
this
and these
means
computers are tied together versus a peer-to-peer network.
Yes.
So while they're all operating and running this blockchain, the blockchain ultimately is this sort of like thing that exists that all these computers are connecting to and support the existence of.
Yes. So the blockchain is nothing more than a evolving ledger of information in the moment that is supported by this group of computers around the world. And this literally means that you can't hack this. You can't lie about this. You can't, obfuscate anything. This is a completely open, decentralized, transparent ledger that can be applied to any type of technology that has to do with goods, finances, anything, taxes, voting. There are some amazing potential technology game changers here that can completely and totally blow the monopoly of the banks, of these super control systems of our planet, out of the water. How are they going to be able to keep the second set of books, these different financial ledgers that say this is the amount of money that we have here, and yet we have $13 trillion missing from our United States budget? Like, these are the types of things that they will never ever have the chance to do again. And this is why they are fighting so hard against cryptocurrencies. Not because well, yes, the internet money is a thing that can actually make financial freedom available for everyday Joe, but they see the future. They see what's coming with this, and they recognize how, say for instance, one right there, this is a coin that is directly involved in the voting systems on the planet, and you can't hack the voting systems if it's decentralized and you can access it from anywhere. This is a major, major game changer right now on a level that most people don't understand. And this is one of the reasons why we're doing these types of series right here, is because there's so much disinformation out there about all of these different topics, and it's trying to throw these hot button, flare words into the mix and just throw everybody into a state of fear and denial about this, when in fact, if you just go and do the research, if you look at what this technology is, and more importantly, how it can be applied to reality around us, sky's the limit, guys. Sky's literally the limit.
And let's really drive that home. This is the single most important point, I think, for people that are just coming in to finding out about cryptocurrency, and all the people that already have this idea in their head about, it's money, therefore it's bad because money is bad and it all has to do with money and stuff. Like Eric said, it is not just about money. In fact, the mantra for the past few years before it became really popular, people always say, it's not about Bitcoin, it's about the underlying technology. And yeah, that's true. And now we're seeing that this technology has the ability to infiltrate and disrupt every single major institution and industry on our planet. It is not just about money, and we cannot say it enough, or enough times, repeating it over and over again, that this is affecting everything in our lives. And it's a lot of things that aren't money that people can agree on are a great thing to make transparent, to make secure, to make private, and in general, to just take control back of all these things. And for so long, it's been out of our hands. We haven't really had a say. And the very nature of cryptocurrency and these various technologies is a community-driven format, way of doing things, in which the people are the ones that make the next choices, right? It's not the oil companies, it's not the banks that are deciding who researches what or what does that. We're seeing this tremendous transfer of wealth. A whole new population of the world is being empowered with money and the realization that they can actually make a difference, and finally have the ability to make a difference, maybe in things that they wanted to do for a long time, like what I'm doing and what Eric is doing. This is helping us both greatly increase our ability to reach out to people and to take part in many of the things that we wanted to for a long time, and create various platforms and whatnot. So going back to some examples of this, the number one thing that I think really stands out for me that lots of people can agree on has been a big issue, especially after this last election or the Bush and Gore election. These are clear examples of how screwed up our voting system is. And how nonsensical the whole thing is. We're doing everything in such an archaic way. And for a very long time, they've been able to tamper with, altercate. There's all these problems that we have with voting. And we're talking about, what should be within a democratic society, probably the most important thing that you could do, because that's the whole point, right, is voting. And we can't even trust that. Right? So we can't trust banks, we can't trust voting, we can't trust power companies, energy. All these things can be changed through the power of the blockchain, and they are being changed. It's actively happening, and there's no stopping it. This is the direction, the trajectory that we're going now. Something like Clearpoll makes voting completely transparent, untamperable, the same way you can send money around and nobody can mess with that. There's no fraud. There's no, you can't take somebody's Bitcoin unless somebody has your password or your key or something, which is your responsibility to protect. But think about applying that to something like voting, where everybody puts in their vote and there it is. Everybody can see what everybody voted. There's no finagling. There's no shenanigans at play. It just is what it is. And we can finally, for the first time, actually see what people's opinions on things are. Not just voting, but opinion polling, all this stuff, all these things that are lied that we have been lied to about for my entire lifetime, and well before that as well. As long as there's been media, as long as there's been television, as long as there's been a way to manipulate the consciousness in that way. Now there's a way around that.
Most definitely. And this is literally the point in time right now to where you can see the trend in the way that the world is moving, because let's get something very, very clear right now. My end goal is to have the elimination of money completely and totally. I don't want to have a system of currency in between me and the abundance of the universe. I don't want to have to fight for food, water, and shelter every month, instead of having this be something that is naturally provided as a right of existence. That being said, we need a transition. We need a stepping stone. We can't just drop off the face of the earth with money. There are so many people who have so much invested into the thought of currency and their value as a person, and not being able to even actually buy anything or receive anything without the transition of money. We need to have a stepping stone. And this stepping stone right here that we're watching, we're watching literally everyday Joe being able to get the chance to access millions, if not billions of dollars, to vote with their money in a way that has never, ever been possible before, because never before have we ever had the chance to truly rise up as a mass of people, as the middle and the lower class actually standing up and having economic viability to compete with the 1%. This is what we're seeing right now. This is the transition of power. The collective consciousness has decreed we will break away from this system, and you're seeing the birth of the new world right here. This is just the birth. It has to be birthed inside of the system that it was created on. Where we're at right now, this physical electronic reality, is where we need to start with this transition. And as we blossom into abundance, we're going to be opening up the doorways to energies of abundance, of freedom, of the ability to choose the direction and path that you want to go. And this is what we're seeing right now. And Ross, go ahead and go into the IPOs and the ICOs and how we can really truly vote with our money in the direction our planet actually goes now. This is some really cool stuff. I love the way you put this.
Well, that's a absolutely huge point, because a great example of the transition of power in our world. If you wanted to get into a company for the past however long, say let's go back to the tech boom and these tech companies or something comparable, right? So you have Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and all these companies, and they had to start somewhere. They had to get investors, but these kinds of projects are not open to the public. They're only open to venture capitalists, angel investors. Previously, there's all these laws and regulations that you just, as an average person, could not get involved in these projects ground floor, thus making it impossible for the average person to make the incredible gains that some of these already rich people are making, which is kind of how everything's sort of run, right? Everything's rigged and set up so that the average person doesn't really get a fair chance within the system. Meanwhile, these rich people are taking part in things that, most people could never dream of. But now we're seeing the opportunity for the average person to be able to get involved. What used to be an IPO is now an ICO, an initial coin offering. So a company that has a new technology built on the blockchain, or an entirely new blockchain altogether, as we're seeing, pop up now with the likes of IOTA and OneChain and stuff. There's so many innovations. We're just at the infancy here. There's so far to go. And even this early on, we have these opportunities like this for people to get involved in these projects at the ground floor. And people are making times 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 times their money. And we're not saying that this is some get rich quick thing. By far, this is not the primary point that we want to drive home, is to get involved in cryptocurrency just so you can make a ton of money. It's definitely part of it. And if you know what you're doing, it's inevitable, especially at this early stage. But that's not the ultimate goal here. But what we're seeing is this opportunity for people to now take part in things that they never could before. The ICO is just one example of that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is a major game changer right here. The ability to not only predict the direction that humanity is going, because we already have these systems in place, and what we're seeing is the decentralized, transparent version being created. So we can literally predict where this is going to go and write it. You can invest in what you truly want to see in the world and capitalize off of it and make financial abundance and freedom for yourself. But that is not the end goal. The end goal is to be able to have enough of a say with your financial capital voice, I guess you could say, to truly set your world in the direction that you want it to go. And yes, we have to use technology right now because this is the medium. We haven't been able to develop these psychic connections yet because technology's gotten in the way, and we need the stepping stone. But here's the really cool part. Everybody thinks the ship already sailed. Bitcoin was just the precedent. You know, that was the whale. That was the one that bowled its way through and it said, this is possible. What we're watching now is everybody realizing the pitfalls with these ancient dinosaur technologies that they have to revamp into new things because there's so many new things coming out that are making it obsolete. And so the only reason things like Bitcoin will hang on is because they're upgrading their systems to be streamlined and handle the technology that's coming in. Because right now there are so many coins that are starting up. And yeah, a lot of them are just get rich quick scheme people trying to, you know, really just make a buck right there. But there are many, many coin offerings right now, many projects that are starting up that are literally geared towards changing the planet for the better. And this is huge.
Right. And they have nothing to do. Like, you know, you have your currency coins, you have things like Bitcoin and Litecoin that serve a certain function. And Bitcoin was always meant to be just basically digital gold, right?
Gold.
There's
Yeah.
there's a certain amount of it. There can't be any more than 21 million of them ever created. It takes a lot of power, a lot of time, and some very smart people to create a Bitcoin, which gives it its part of its value is in the fact that it takes a lot of work to create one. It's not just some poof, now we have Bitcoin and now we say that it has value. It costs a lot to create a Bitcoin, especially now to continue to create Bitcoins. People have to, the amount of electricity that people are using on these super crazy powerful rigs and just, entire warehouses of computing power to mine fractions of Bitcoin. But as that number reaches closer to 21 million, it's going to become more and more scarce, and that will inherently drive up the value. And it was all designed very, very beautifully, just as a sort of digital gold. And you mine it, you have a certain amount of it, and the less of it there is, the more of it's worth. So in my eyes, I've always seen Bitcoin. I personally hope that it doesn't go away because we know who's behind. We know who is behind Bitcoin. We trust Bitcoin. We know which, you know, we'll get into some of the myths about that. But, you know, I've been in this for a long time. Eric understands the technology also. And, you know, we are here to tell you that a lot of the things that you hear about Bitcoin being AI, it being CIA controlled, having some backdoor to funnel all your money out. I mean, these things are ludicrous. It's insane. You can read everything there is about Bitcoin. You can see how it works inside and out. And nobody really knows who created it. This guy, Satoshi Nakamoto, which is just this like mythical, legendary creature within the cryptocurrency world. You know, it's like catching a rare Pokemon. But he created this platform to do what we're talking about, to give the power back to the people and take it away from the bank so that you didn't have to have a middleman to exchange money, and that you could send money, like even gold. Gold is great, but, you know, have fun buying a car with gold from some guy in Japan. It's not exactly the easiest thing to pull off. Whereas I can pull out my phone, press a couple buttons, and all of a sudden this guy in Japan has my Bitcoin and he's ready to send me whatever it is that I'm paying for. Or whatever it is. There's no bank involved. The bank is in my pocket. And that is what makes it so inherently also valuable, is the ease of use. It has a function, it serves a purpose, and it takes a lot of work to create one. So these are just some of the basic points about Bitcoin that I guess like some people just don't understand, is that it's so transparent. It's the most transparent technology that's ever been created. It's completely open source. You can see everything there is to see about it. And people want to tell me that it's AI because some guy on YouTube that they've never heard of sounds really smart while he's talking about it being AI. It's really like, we have to nip this in the bud, because since 2010 or 2009 or whatever, when I got into this, 2008, I've been watching the news perpetually create fear around this subject. And, you know, it's always been a #1 rule of mine. What are most people doing? What are most people thinking? Well, do the opposite, because the opposite is most likely the better choice, because at the core of all this, everything is so manipulated, and the perception has been so twisted, and people don't know what they're talking about or what Bitcoin is all about. And they're just going based on the fear that's been created over the last decade, right? Like now it's just becoming popular, but it's been around for a really long time. Oh, I mean, not really long time, but a decade's a good long time for something to exist, for all the smartest people around the world to dissect and look into and pull apart. And I'm telling you, there is no back door. The CIA is not going to funnel your money out, and the AI overlord isn't going to take over and reach out of your computer and suck you into the virtual interwebs. It's just...
Well, you know, and you look at the technology and the way that it actually is created. You have all these numbers that plug in directly to the next block. It literally creates the block as it goes. You know, it's not something that you predict where it goes. It literally is a chain of information that shows you point A to point B, and point B is always where it is right now. And you can see everything in between from here to there. And there's no way to get a back door through this, because it's all information that plugs in one thing into the next, into the next, into the next. Without the previous information, you don't have the current block. If you try to screw up that current block and try to mix it up, it's going to show as a complete and total anomaly against the whole entire blockchain ledger. People are going to say, what are you talking about? This coin already was spent 3 times. There's no way that can happen, you know, and it's very easy to track down. You can see it like right then and there. It's just, you have to understand.
That's another good point. The tracking it down is that it's not an anonymous coin, right? People have this misconception about it, that it's some like inherently anonymous thing that's so private, and that, you know, all these people on the dark web are using it to buy child pornography and assassinations, which is a big part of the history of Bitcoin. But nobody on the dark web really wants to use Bitcoin anymore because it never was an anonymous coin. Now, there are coins out there that are truly anonymous and private, but Bitcoin is not one of them. And Bitcoin is the one that's the standard for all other cryptocurrencies. It's the one that all their cryptocurrencies are weighed in their value against, the same way stocks in the stock market are against the dollar. So just the point was about the privacy and the anonymity. It's not like that. That's just one more thing that seems to be a rumor about Bitcoin from people that don't really know what the technology is about. And so, yeah, there is a possibility for privacy and, you know, shady things to go on. But I heard a really great example. Somebody said yesterday, well, if you want to talk about child pornography and assassinations and drugs, the US dollar is the most implicit of all time. It's the most heavily used currency, and nobody is arguing against the US dollar and making those points. It's, you know, nobody's saying, oh, we shouldn't use the dollar because people buy drugs with it. It's insane. So why are people saying this about Bitcoin?
Well, not just that, you know, like the dollar itself, you know, people are saying Bitcoin has no inherent value other than what you think it has. We haven't been on the gold standard since Nixon took us off in the 70s. The dollar only has value because we agree it does. You guys just proved your own point about how ridiculous fiat currency is. Yeah. You know, like that's the way that goes. It's the same exact thing. We choose that it has value because it has value to us. We don't prefer the fiat currency system because it's heavily taxed, it's heavily regulated, and it's heavily corrupted. And there's all kinds of crazy people who are using this type of power to the detriment of the world around us. And
if they want to, they could really, if they wanted to, they could really just stop you. I mean, JP Morgan and a number of other banks in the past few years have had moments where people could not withdraw their funds from the bank account. So it's not just that you have this infinitely printed paper that's not backed by anything. It's completely centralized. It's completely controlled. And at any point, if the banks want to stop you from withdrawing your money, what are you going to do about it? It's still digital money. It's ones and zeros in a computer until you turn it into cash and they hand it to you. But your life savings, your billions of dollars, there's not just like a mountain of $1 bills sitting there that back your billion. It's still just numbers in a computer, the same way cryptocurrency is, except it's open to fraud, it's open to tampering, it's centralized, and the government is the one that has control over it. Let's, you know, completely flip it on its head, put the power back in our hands, and ta-da, you have Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or whatever it is that you prefer in the cryptocurrency world.
Yes,
the blockchain.
Great point, Ross. Great point. You really nailed it with that one. I think that was about everything that we needed to cover here on the first one. Let me pull this up real quick. Yeah, we've got everything, all the way to voting with your pocketbook to the next level times infinity, because that's what this is. You can literally place your vote into the direction humanity is going. And with these ICOs that are no longer IPOs, where you have these hedge fund managers, the angel investors on these, and then see the direction that they're heading and then say, yes, this is the direction that we want to go. What happens to all these people who are coming up with like hydrogen fuel cell machines, or like the Joe cell, reverse implosion energy? You know, these types of things, you can't get capital investors or angel investors on these because they don't want this to happen, because all their buddies are oil billionaires. You know, like, this is the type of thing that we can start going into, where we can start investing into free energy projects, to where we can start investing into Ubuntu consciousness, you know, where we can actually say, hey, let's make an entire community that is nothing but people working for a couple hours a week towards the benefit of the community, and let's just see what happens, you know, and we can fund that. We can fund that now, and this is
brought up a
huge.
really good point also, is the as far as like the patents and the technologies and stuff. One of my personal favorites, and remember, this is not financial advice. We are not here to tell you what coin to buy, or this is not the purpose of our channel. We're, you know, happy to answer questions and give our admits, but you got to do your own research. But what Eric was talking about and brings to mind for me is a coin called Loki and CopyTrack. These are coins that are actively trying to change the patent and copyright industries in such a way that, you know, like he mentioned with the energy cells and new energy technologies, you can't get this stuff made. If you actually can get it funded, there's a good chance that you're either going to have it stolen from you, or they might just end up killing you, right? A lot of people don't make it through. They hold on to this stuff. You know, they're greedy. They want to make money off of it. And in the meantime, somebody just knocks them off, and then nobody gets to see this amazing technology that could change the entire world. Well, now, with the power of the blockchain and people like Loki and CopyTrack, you can take your inventions, your copyrightable material and stuff, put it on the blockchain, and guess what? It's there forever, and nobody can do anything about it. And I think we can all agree that that is a very, very good thing.
Yeah, what happens if we get, you know, one of these black budget projects that suddenly the schematics get dumped onto the blockchain? You can't put that back in the box. That's never, ever going to be able to, you know, even if they found the original place where it was uploaded and they shut down the whole entire server,
Doesn't
it
matter.
is a blockchain. This is millions of computers around the world who are tuned into this all at one time.
And a great example and proof that they can't do, because I saw this on RT the other day. Some lady was asking this guy, like, you know, like, why can't they just, like, won't the government be able to just shut it down and regulate it? And, you know, if it's so dangerous, they'll just stomp it out. Well, did they ever stop sharing music? Did they stop sharing movies? I don't think so. Ever since the Napster days, the government's been trying to crack down on this stuff, and they've never been successful. And guess what? Those are peer-to-peer networks. Guess what? The blockchain is peer-to-peer currency, or a peer-to-peer technology. So if they couldn't stop, you know, file sharing and people from downloading music and movies and stuff, then no, they can't stop blockchain. You're just taking that same fundamental and now applying it to money. And think about the possibilities. Think about what that really means. This world is changing, and there's nothing they can do to stop it.
Nothing. Nothing. It's our world. It's our planet. And we are literally building the bridges to our liberation right now. You think cryptocurrencies are an accident? This is a direct result of the collective consciousness and the evolution in humanity, recognizing that we can't do this anymore. It's time to move on. It's time to move forward into bigger and better things.
I 100% agree. This is not an accident. We asked for this, right? Everything that comes into an existence is a direct result of our collective calling for whatever it is that we desire. And for a long time, that calling has been suppressed and tampered with and infiltrated in such a way that our collective consciousness has created a world that has been one that ironically enslaves us, and we're the one creating it. We're the ones responsible for it. We never had anybody controlling us. We're not the ones in power, right? It's just now at this particular juncture in time space, we're realizing it. And even if people don't consciously understand it, deep down on a higher level, that is what we're doing. We're calling for this new world to be created. And I believe Eric believe that cryptocurrency is a direct manifestation of this central calling.
Oh yeah, 100%. You can feel it in the energy as soon as you know how to actually use your chi in a very poignant way to where you can go and investigate these types of energies. These cryptocurrencies are loaded with such a massive potential of human consciousness inside of them that there are literally no limits to the possibilities here. Like I keep saying, you know, this is just a stepping stone. This is a doorway into an abundant society to where we don't have to worry about currencies to begin with, but we need a stepping stone, and we are creating one right here inside of the system in which we exist. And that's the only way to start bridging the gap. The only way.
Beautiful.
All right, so
that's a good stopping point.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one right there. So we are definitely going to be doing more of these CryptoSutra events right here. Keep an eye out for those in the future. We're going to start going more into the technical aspects, more into the consciousness aspects, and more importantly into stuff that we're going to be giving you guys tips and tricks to start doing your own research and looking into things so you can capitalize on this too, because it's not about...
We want to get you started also.
Yes, exactly. It's not about just, you know, one or two people doing this. This is about showing the world how to attain a better consciousness of life, you know, a better standard of life for them and themselves and the people around them. Because as you grow individually inside of your groups and you lift the group up with you, then you guys can all go and take your vote, you know, on a much deeper level than you could beforehand. You know, it's about taking the stress off of you from needing to survive day in and day out and giving you a place to breathe, a place to actually sit inside of and say, huh, I don't have to worry about anything in this next 4 or 5 months right now. I actually have time to sit back and relax and enjoy myself and grow as a person, because that's what this is all about. You know, you got to achieve enlightenment through the emotional mastery of being in this reality, and cryptos are an amazing way to step into that, honestly.
And we will teach you that and more on CryptoSutra, your path to crypto enlightenment.
Your path to crypto enlightenment. Yes, sir. Good stuff. All right. So without further ado, I think that was a great first episode. That was really fun. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah. And if anybody has any feedback, I don't know if there's any way for people to give us feedback or not. This is Eric's platform, so he would know. But we're open to any and all suggestions. Let us know, is this video a good length? Do you want to see them longer? Because we're actually going to make it shorter, but you know, we got into it and there's so much to say, and it's something that we're both really passionate about. And you know, we're going to keep shaping and sculpting and try to make this the best web series that we possibly can. So, you know, let us know.
The whole goal is to try to get you guys as much information as simply put as possible so that you can understand as much as quickly as possible, and then start actually moving into physical implementation, because, you know, you can only learn so much before you can actually start going out into the real world and applying it and gaining that book smarts into wisdom. So that's what this is all about.
Right.
Sweet. So I hope you guys join us on the next time. Thank you for joining us on this one. This is Eric Rains and Ross Feinstein with CryptoSutra signing off.